A large number of studies indicate that the use of social media apps results in a significant decline in self-esteem. This connection is especially strong for photo sharing apps like Facebook's Instagram. And this matters because social media apps have become extremely popular. One survey from Australia suggests that 89% of young adults aged between 18 and 29 years old use social networking websites daily. But for how long do they stay logged on? Another study tells us that the average person spends over 2 hours each day on apps like Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Teenagers, however, spend significantly more time, sometimes in excess of 3 hours each day. And some of the more extreme daily users of social media apps may just not be able to help it, because they could very well be addicted. Overall, 1 in 3 of all Instagram users are believed to be addicted or at risk of developing Instagram addiction. And before you scoff off at this idea of Instagram addiction, just remember that at their core, all social media apps are designed to do the same thing. Designed to keep users logged on and consuming content for as long as possible. That's because the longer they can keep someone on the platform, the more ads they can show them and the more money they can make off of them. In other words, apps like Instagram are addictive by design, as we've already been told by former employees of Facebook, Google, and Apple. The stakes, however, really can't be higher. The use of social networking websites has been associated with an increased risk of sleep problems, lower life satisfaction, reduced well-being and connectedness with those around you, as well as an increased risk of developing depression and anxiety. It's even been suggested that social media is directly responsible for the increasing prevalence in disordered eating behaviors, resulting in more people feeling dissatisfied with their bodies. Recently, we've observed a decrease in the age that these behaviors first emerge, and so it's no longer unusual to see girls, sometimes as young as 12, engage in restricted eating patterns, consume diet aids, and even purge themselves following meals. These effects of social media on well-being and self-esteem are not necessarily what you would expect when you look at the content on Instagram, for example. Instagram is a place where you will find people who always look their best and are always doing new and exciting things. It's basically an alternate parallel universe where everything is good and wonderful and nothing ever falls short of perfect. Just ask yourself, when was the last time that you saw something slightly negative on Instagram or received negative feedback on one of your photos or comments? Like never. And the research backs this up. Among a large sample of US teenagers, 91% said they never or almost never received negative feedback on their posts and photos. 91%. For most people, it seems that social media truly is a land of endless and absolute positivity. In fact, I would go even further and say that it's actually become frowned upon to post negative content on social media. Why then do both teens and adults experience reduced well-being and low self-esteem as a result of social media use if the majority of the content they consume is uber positive? Let's find out. My name is Hashem and I'm a University of Cambridge graduate and student doctor, and this is my YouTube channel where I get to read all about the latest research in psychiatry, psychology, and neuroscience and share all the cool stuff that I learn with you guys. If you'd like to support what I do and support this channel, then the best way to do that would be to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos just like this one. The evidence we have suggests that it is social media's positivity bias that contributes most to the decline in self-esteem that is observed in many of its regular users. That's because social media presents a highly edited version of the world around us, making the lives of the people we follow seem a lot more fun and exciting than they actually are. This version is of course highly unrealistic. Having gone through the photos that I personally post on Instagram, I'll be the first to admit that I'm a part of the problem. That's because I post largely or overtly positive photos of me having fun, doing cool, new, exciting stuff, and looking better than I usually do on one of my more average days. And this can be a problem if the person seeing these photos gets the idea that my Instagram account is an accurate representation of what my life is like. It's not. It's not, by the way. Especially as they're likely to be checking social media when they're bored or not getting up to something that is particularly interesting. This is because when on social media, people are more likely to make an upward comparison than they are to make a downward or a lateral comparison. In absolute terms, this means their attention is 8 times more likely to be drawn to posts and photos where they perceive other people to be having more fun, experiencing more success, and looking better than themselves. Once they identify these posts, they begin making comparisons between this fictional fairy tale they see on Instagram and their own more realistic lives. Now, studies suggest that the more upward comparison a person makes on social media, the worse their self-esteem will be. According to science, those who start off with low self-esteem are significantly more likely to make more upward comparisons that are more extreme in nature. This obviously is bad, as it will result in even more dissatisfaction in that group of people. Add this to the fact that regardless of how much self-esteem you start off with initially, going on social media apps like Facebook results in dramatic fluctuations in how you feel about yourself. In other words, your overall well-being and sense of self-worth. However, not all domains are affected equally. According to the research we have available to us, people are much more likely to compare themselves to others they see on social media in specific domains like looks, comparing vacations and lifestyles, and their popularity and friendships. Meanwhile, people were very unlikely to compare themselves to others on social media based on academics, relationships, and morality, and perhaps surprisingly, wealth. I guess the rich kids of Instagram accounts that sprung up a few years ago were always destined to fail then. But at least you now know what kind of content to share on Facebook and Instagram if you want to inspire envy amongst your friends, if for some reason that's what you want to do. But the fact is, not everyone is affected by social media in the same way. Some people appear to be protected against the low self-esteem that social media tends to inspire. So what sets those people apart? It's actually all about how much you like yourself. Self-liking refers to the inherent value you give yourself, and it's the foundation of having a healthy self-esteem. Once these foundations are in place, they can be strengthened with self-competence. While self-liking is how much inherent value you give yourself, self-competence is how much you value your achievements, your successes, and your skills. And the two things, self-liking and self-competence, they come together to give you a sense of self-worth. And if you happen to like yourself a lot, but not too much, you're going to be more immune to making these harmful upward comparisons to others when spending time on social media. According to the research, you will also spend less time on social media anyway, largely uninterested in the lives of other people and how they compare to yours. Which is probably why social media apps don't want you to like yourself very much. After all, more people liking themselves more translates to less time spent on their apps, and this translates to less money in Mark Zuckerberg's very, very deep pockets. Before we move on to the next bit, let's try this exercise. Tell me in the comments one thing that you happen to like about yourself. Just one thing. It doesn't have to be the thing that you like the most or something that is particularly important or matters to anyone, except for you, of course. And make sure to check out the comments to find out one thing that I happen to like about myself. So, here's what I think. Contrary to what most people think, it's the positive content on social media rather than the controversial or the negative content that results in most of the damage to people's self-esteem that they experience as a result of social media use. And other than designing applications that are inherently addictive, I don't think social media companies are necessarily to blame for this. Rest assured though, I still really don't like Mark. But we should remember, that it's us who generate this positive content on social media and contribute to this unrealistic portrayal of what life is like. Moreover, we encourage others to share this kind of highly selective positive content by rewarding them for this content with likes, comments, and follows. And so they keep posting pictures of their highly edited and digitally enhanced life. This is particularly true for social media influencers who earn their living through their large online followings. Their financial interests are largely tied to producing content that receives high engagement in the form of reach, likes, and comments. And the problem is that the kind of content we encourage is this unrealistically positive content that ends up just making us all feel a little bit miserable about our lives.
But we still give it a like though.
Mark Zuckerberg recently announced to the world that Facebook was rebranding into Meta to more accurately represent its activities in the future, where it plans to build a metaverse, or a virtual reality that we can all live in. But perhaps we're already there. I guess that's it for me this week. Don't forget to check out the references for this video over on my free newsletter service on Substack, link in description below. My self-esteem is directly tied to how many likes this video receives, so give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new here. See you all next week and try your best to stay safe until then.